We are living in a beautiful time, that is true, but we have to remember the biggest disastrous presidency in U.S. history, or else we'll allow those same mistakes to be repeated. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we call out lies, hypocrisy, and corruption and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters because truth conquers. But you can't conquer anything unless you're strong. If sometimes you have low energy, brain fog, you're wondering, do you have the Biden disease? Nobody's going to do anything about that other than you. That's why I use grass-fed beef liver by Ancestral Supplement. It's nature's multivitamin for a reason. It's time to get healthy, get strong on purpose. Get your grass-fed beef liver at ancestralsupplements.com/JPReacts. And for a very American 15% off, use code JPReacts. Now let's get into it. How you doing? Joe Biden is not president anymore. I love that. I'm very excited about President Trump. The Biden administration screwed so much up. I don't think any of it was on accident. I think these people that were running Biden, I think they're intelligent. I don't think they're that stupid, but I do think they are that evil. So it's a beautiful time we're living in and easy to rest on our laurels, our victory. We've got a great 4 years ahead of us. I truly believe that. I feel so optimistic. But what I worry about is 8 years from now, 12 years from now, 30 years from now, because if we just rest on our laurels and only get optimistic, we will forget what happened. And then all of a sudden we'll come down with this syndrome. We're conditioned with this belief that says that could never happen here. That's why I think once we enter a beautiful time, it is very important to remember the disastrous time that was, because we all know that history that's forgotten about will repeat itself. We just lived through a disastrous 4 years of history. It will repeat itself if we allow it, and we'll allow it if we forget it. So let's take just a moment to peruse the disaster of memory lane so we can remember the 25 biggest disastrous moments of Biden's presidency so that we can learn from them, remember them, and therefore not allow them ever again. Now for this, I came across this great Twitter thread by Ben Q. So I'm going to be referencing that. You can see Ben_Q, K-E-W on Twitter, AKA X, AKA whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Now each of these 25 moments is captured by a single photo. I think this is a masterful thread, so I want to go through it with you. Starting with a socially distant cabinet, and holy Lord, is that creepier? And it makes sense. A socially distant cabinet is a socialist cabinet, and socialists love to distance themselves from anything that is democracy or freedom. So let's not forget that one. Number 2, gas prices, $7.25. Bidenomics, baby. Worked pretty good, didn't it? Number 3, you can see this photo. It's a caravan of people going through Guatemala, making their way, every single one of them, through the very open U.S. border. That's a problem. You want your immune system intact, ladies and gentlemen. The border is the country's immune system. And now we're just getting good. Biden falling up the stairs. By the way, this is a photo. He did it 3 times, if you remember the video clip. And he didn't just fall up the steps that 3 times, 1 time. He did it on multiple occasions, stages. You remember him tumbling on the stage. It is just great. Let's not forget that, because we allowed this guy to be in office to run the country who was not running the country whatsoever. This was weekend at Bernie's. Why would we ever want to do that again? Number 5, the Afghanistan withdrawal. This is one of the biggest heartbreakers. You can see this iconic photo, and we've seen the other iconic photos of people holding onto the plane as it takes off, people falling off. I can't believe this is anything to do with incompetence. The worst way to withdraw from Afghanistan, the exact opposite way that President Trump said we should withdraw. Americans were left behind. In fact, takes us to number 6, 13 dead soldiers killed during the botched withdrawal, and that doesn't account for any of the American allies who were also killed. Number 7, maybe my favorite one to hate, the vaccine mandates. Do you remember, of course, there was the coercion, the push, and we're going to have a winter of death. It's the fault of the unvaccinated. vaccinated. Come on, people, get your shots. We had all that coercion. And then there was the crescendo where Biden mandated all companies over 100 employees, you got to have your mandates or else. Which, as you can see, he mandated via executive order, which was later ruled unconstitutional. Oh, you think? Is tyranny unconstitutional? We'll get back to the video in just a second, but first I want to tell you about nometalnux.com. These bad boys are made from durable, non-metallic plastic, ensuring strength and effectiveness while also making them suitable for travel. No Metal Nux are ideal for self-defense scenarios where a robust and reliable self-defense tool is needed. If you just scroll Twitter for a minute, you see that crime and violence is happening all over the place. The last scenario that I want myself or a loved one in is to need a self-defense tool and not have it. These bad boys have a beautiful, comfortable fit. They're ergonomically designed to fit the natural contours of your hand, which offers you more protection while you defend yourself. As you can see, No Metal Nux comes in a variety of different colors and sizes, offering you the perfect fit. When it comes to self-defense, would you rather need it and not have it, or have it and not need it? I know the answer for me and my family, and if your answer is the same, you can get yours by going to nometalnux.com. And for 10% off your self-defense No Metal Nux, use code JPReacts10. That's nometalnux.com. Now back to the video. The illegal invasion. So border crisis on the whole. I don't know why we called it a crisis, because it's more like the border deliberate open event. Like there was no like, wow, how is this happening? We know how it happened. And of course, funding illegals with American tax money is what we did. Number 9, pushing back. Parents protest school closures and vaccine mandates in California as Democrats refuse to lift restrictions imposed during the coronavirus pandemic. Boy, that was a deadly pandemic. Thanks, Biden administration, helping set our children behind several years, not only in their education, but also their social development. Nap time. So Biden falling asleep. I mean, pick your occasion. This one happened to be at a conference in Africa. You might remember the Maui wildfire deal where Biden was in an event there just paying tribute by falling asleep. And as recently as President Trump's inauguration, Biden was seen on camera falling asleep. What else happened under the most disastrous presidency in U.S. history that we want to remember so we never repeat? Well, Putin goes rogue, and all of this was facilitated by the Biden administration, violating what Putin, the simple things he wanted with NATO, and Biden's like, all right, we'll do the opposite of what you want. We're going to support Ukraine endlessly. I'm excited to see how that changes under Trump. Biden's Supreme Court pick, Ketanji Johnny Jackson Brown, whatever her name is, couldn't tell you what a woman is. When she was asked what a woman was, said, I'm not a biologist. I don't know. All right, well, if you don't know, you're an idiot. If you do know, you're a liar. Number 13, Lucky 13. Here we have the criminal on the right, Sam Brinton, nuclear energy gal, as you can see, and the guy on the left, Rachel Levine, the absolute freak show administration. Number 14, Biden falling off his bike. Some of these are actually good memories. And of course, the fentanyl crisis. Is that all the Biden administration's fault? I don't think so. Is a lot of it their fault? I do think so. An open border means cartels just wheelie in on their 10 speeds with fentanyl, not to mention human trafficking, which is worse. Photo number 16, Biden shaking hands with air, which I'm skeptical of this. I think the guy is so in tune, mentally sharp kind of guy, you know what I mean? He probably sees entities that us mortals don't see. Number 17, you can see this guy who was invited to the White House for a Pride event going topless with his fake boobs. He was later arrested, not this day, but arrested for something else. I forget what, but nonetheless, this criminal was invited to the White House for a Biden Pride event. 18, definitely on the most heartbreaking side. January 6th protesters. Doors are open. Come on in, guys. Arrest them all. They're insurrectionists. Under the Biden administration, held without due process. not appearing before judges, held, tortured in solitary confinement. The man you see is someone's husband, someone's father. This is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking that a U.S. administration would do this to U.S. citizens for their political agenda. Not justice, political agenda. 19, in hindsight, I'm glad it happened. This was the start of a swell of support for this man, where we, the people, were like, we got to take our power back. Of course, President Trump being charged with phony charges, arrested, was at Fulton County, Georgia, the iconic mugshot. Thank you, Biden administration. Oh, this isn't a political persecution? Got it. Go for another bike ride, buddy. We all know about Raken Riley. Here is her killer, an illegal immigrant from Venezuela who had already been arrested and released, stands trial for the brutal murder of Laken Riley. Biden administration border policies, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter faces justice. Hunter arrives at a court ahead of his trial on tax fraud and illegal firearms charges. Funniest thing about that is those were the only crimes he was on trial for. He would later be pardoned by his father, who said he would not pardon Hunter, and did pardon Hunter. So Hunter, you didn't do any crimes because you're pardoned of all the crimes you committed. Number 22 in the most disastrous presidency in U.S. history is the political persecution of maybe the best president in U.S. history. Of course, he's on trial here in this photo. They didn't stop. And of course, the debate. I think this, don't fall for it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the mainstream media, the Biden administration, everybody on his team didn't discover this was the debate where he's mentally unfit. It was a playbook. I would bet my bile duct on that. We need to throw him under the bus. We're going to do that. We're going to let him just be him at the debate. Then we're going to run the playbook like, holy cow, he was sharp as a tack up until the day before. But wow, I guess he is getting a little old. And, you know, everything that the conservatives are saying are still lies, but it's also true. And then, of course, next play in the playbook, through a very democratic process of not being elected to be the Democratic presidential nominee, Kamala Harris and Tim Waltz, whose campaign was based on word salad and bringing out joy. All they brought out in people was cringiness. Tim did populate men's bathrooms with tampons. We got to thank him for that. And the bright side, number 25, we're going to end on a beautiful note. The greatest comeback ever. They politically persecuted him. They persecuted him in the media. They arrested him. They charged him. They put him on trial. They shot him. And he still won. The greatest comeback ever? Yes. They made a billionaire, former president, the biggest underdog in history. And guess what? That underdog won. With that said, I think the moral of the story is no matter how big and powerful the evil is, that evil can be defeated. Let's never forget that. Let's never forget what the evil does. And let's not forget the power that we, the people, have proven we have, and we had all along. Once we claimed it and remembered it, then we had it. Let me know what you think about the most disastrous presidency in U.S. history. Spoiler alert, obviously Biden. Were there any moments that were missed that stand out to you? Let me know that in the comments. I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, enjoy, because we're living in Trump's America.